The Rock putting out the trailer for this new movie, The Smashing Machine. The Rock, the Smashing Machine trailer came out. So The Smashing Machine is The Rock's next movie, except what makes it unique to me is that this is The Rock. I would say in The Rock's film career, it felt like Pain and Gain, that movie, the bodybuilder movie that he was in with Mark Wahlberg. That movie came out, and that movie is tremendous, by the way. I love that movie. But The Rock got into bodybuilder shape for it. He got huge for it. And The Rock had lost most of his wrestling weight. Like, he was still a strong-ish guy, but he looked more like an actor. Like, there are photos around of Skinny Rock when he was trying to be that sort of mainstream Hollywood guy. And at some point, he goes, no, don't be that mainstream guy. And I feel like he got big for Pain and Gain, and then he just stayed big. Like, he was like, that's who I'm going to be from now on. And that's when he started doing a lot of action movies. And by the way, they're tremendous. I love all these action movies. But I watched the trailer, and I had heard about this, right? Because as a movie fan, I love the movies A24 puts out. You know, I have A24 memorabilia around here somewhere. And, I mean, the Safdie brothers, to me, are amazing. Like, among my favorites. Like, between Good Time and Uncut Gems, obviously. And then The Curse, which is the series that Benny Safdie did with Nathan Fielder. Just amazing. The Safdie, if you don't know, Benny Safdie has this ability to make the films and shows that he do feel so tight and enclosed that you really feel that visceral, whether it's discomfort, whether it's panic, whether it's struggle, like you feel it. And in the trailer, I was like, wow, The Rock is like getting back into what he was doing before, which is that real, like, acting. And I love to see it. I love to see this guy not only challenging himself, right? Because the story is amazing. The story of Mark Kerr, who was one of the top amateur wrestlers in the United States, wrestled with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle has said amazing things about him, like going like, I'd never wrestled anybody like this. And then somebody that was a key figure in very, very early UFC, very, very early Pride fighting, and somebody who was a part of that when the rules were far more lax. And he was called the Smashing Machine. There's a documentary about him, also called The Smashing Machine, because he would just go in and smash people. And this was at a time, too, where it was like not everything in the UFC and MMA world was big bucks, that you would keep going for as long as you could possibly go. You would do tournaments where you're having multiple fights in one night, and that's what Mark Kerr was doing. And this was the whole world that he knew. And he kind of had it was kind of a rise and fall situation of Mark Kerr. But so the story is absolutely fascinating, right? But I was looking at this trailer, and the first thing you look at is the face, right? And you go, you can see kind of that it's The Rock, but he's unrecognizable. Like, he's completely fallen into this character. But then you look at this guy's body, and I'm trying to figure out if it's a rubber suit or not. I'm going like, I mean, even for The Rock, he's massive. Like, he is humongous in this movie. And of course, most of the movie, he's in tiny little tights because he's fighting in a cage. And then I'm going, oh, he had to fight in a cage for this. That doesn't, like, you can't be doing rock bottoms and people's elbows inside of a cage. So I said, like, what was how did you just magically, because that's what happens in these movies, right? And actors, we don't really notice it. But the fact that we've seen The Rock on TV as much as we have over the last year in the WWE world, and I know it's not as much as we would have liked, as much as I would have liked, but like we just saw him do that whole WrestleMania run. I'm going, when did he become Mark Kerr, right? So I started doing research. I asked around. I asked some people, like, when did The Rock get into shape for the Mark Kerr movie, for the Smashing Machine? And this is what I got, okay? So he went into heavy prep. And this is also why I think that we can't assume that we'll get more full-on matches from The Rock. Because this is apparently for WrestleMania 40. He did 10 weeks of solid, everyday training camp for his WrestleMania 40 match to make sure that not only aesthetically he looked like he was in the right shape for it, but that his win could pick up, that the ring rust wouldn't be there. Like, he went for 45 minutes at WrestleMania 40 in that night one match. And yeah, of course, there were tricks, there were no DQ and everything, but he wrestled for real. And he went 45 minutes, and he hadn't wrestled in a long time. So apparently he did a 10-week training camp for WrestleMania. Then he wrestles 45 minutes. He immediately goes off of WrestleMania, gets into another training camp where he trained with UFC fighters and professional MMA fighters and completely changed his diet so he could put on a ridiculous amount of muscle. Like, even more so than he had at WrestleMania, so he could properly play Mark Kerr and so that he could get into an octagon, a ring, and at least on screen look like he knew what he was doing. So not only did he have to put on all this muscle, but he also had to learn how to fight and at least appear as though he was really, really good at amateur wrestling and mixed martial arts, that he was the Smashing Machine. Then they told me, these people that I reached out to, immediately after he did the Smashing Machine, he had to change his body again because we saw those photos. He had to go and play live action Maui to do Moana. Remember we saw those photos of him filming Moana? So he did WrestleMania, 10-week training camp, WrestleMania. Then right into training camp, completely changed his body, goes and does the Smashing Machine. Then right off of the Smashing Machine, completely changes his body again, goes in to play Maui in the live-action Moana. And I'm going like, I can't imagine putting your body through all of that. Then I realized what was really going on. I go, wait a second. What is going on in this guy's brain? I cannot, for the life of me, imagine what it must have been like. Because when you are playing serious roles, you kind of live in that, right? At least to an extent. We all loved that first Final Boss ride. No matter what you say now, that road to WrestleMania 40 was as good as it gets. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, had to live as the final boss. Then immediately after that, become Mark Kerr, the human being. Then immediately after that, become Maui, the Disney, character, but in real life. And then somehow find his way back to the final boss. I don't know how, and once it was spelled out for me like that, I'm going like, that's enough to drive a human being nuts. I don't know how anybody would do that, but that was the story that I got. That was the last, say, year for The Rock. That not only was he changing his body the whole time, learning completely new skill sets the whole time, but he literally went from this human being, went from being the final boss to being Mark Kerr to being Maui. Part of me was like, no wonder he likes to break character so much. He has to remember who he is. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I can't wait to see this movie. It looks absolutely amazing.